Hey everybody, it's Syntegrator and welcome to another one of my question and answer videos. Today's question, brought to me through the channel, was I've seen you install a panel board before and after, but I haven't actually seen you do it under the camera. And it's true, I don't usually do it with the camera rolling because it's kind of tricky. When I say tricky, I don't mean it's hard. I just mean there's a few tricks to know, and there's it's awkward in a lot of cases. So what I've done here is I've set up this unit, and I'm going to show you how to install it, basically, and I'm going to show you my tricks, my secret tricks. Okay, well, here we have, this one actually is not a Kiwi yet. This is a Juno-106. It's got the Juno-106 board in it, but it's equally applicable to the Kiwi because the Kiwi has plugs in the same locations. So whether you're doing it with a Kiwi 106 upgrade or you're doing it with a straight Juno 106 that you've done a panel reconditioning on, it's all the same thing. So let's get on with it. Alright, so here is of course a completely rebuilt panel board, and it's got my new SynthSkins dust covers on it, and they are really cool, and we're going to make these available fairly soon for purchase. We're just getting the final details, but these are completely computer cut. So they're machine cut and very precise, and they are a rugged, tight-fitting, basically kind of a flocked kind of material on the surface, and they're very durable. They'll last for a very long time. And because they're not neoprene, they won't cost a fortune, because neoprene is really expensive. And we found that neoprene, unless you get really high quality neoprene, can actually mold around the slots, and actually you end up with little slot type, looks like it's missing a tooth. So, you know, the high quality neoprene that I've been using doesn't have that problem, but I've seen other neoprene that does. So, again, here we are, once again, and we've got this ready to go, and let's install it. So, first thing we're going to do is flip this upside down. Oh, and let's stop, point this out to you. This is not lying absolutely flat. As you can see, it's kind of going up at an angle, and I have it on some blocks, and the lid is actually open further than you'd normally have it. Another important point, it's not plugged in. Don't do this with it plugged in. Please, I don't want anybody dying or getting harmed by this monster power supply here. So, no power cord goes in, and it's like this at an angle, and it's leaned back. So this is why we're doing this for a reason, and you'll see. It's a little bit awkward to set it up, but it's worth it once we get going, and you'll see why. Alright, so there are basically 7 mounting screws that hold this in place. And here they are like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? And they're just across the board. And then these tabs fit inside these slots. There are slots in the metalwork like this. So far so good. You are going to need 2 screwdrivers. One of them, a sort of wide end Phillips. So not the really narrow Phillips, but you know, the little plus sign. Not the narrow one, but the wider one for the larger screws. It's better. And you're going to need a flathead as well, and I'll show you. The flathead is one of my secrets. I'll put this aside. Alright, I've got the screws handy in a snap case over here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to position. Now, you want to make sure that the harnesses come over like this, and they're not going to get caught. So you can just slide in the cards just like that, and then you swivel it down, and as you swivel it down, take care not to catch this wire harness over here, and not to catch, let me put this over here, this wire harness on this side either. So you pull that one up. Okay, there we are. So now those wire harnesses are clear. And at this point, if you were to gently press this in place, okay, like that. And okay, there's a bit of a thing with my demo here. With my demo, I actually don't have a glass in this, and I don't actually have button caps in place, but imagine that they're there. You're going to want them to line up properly, and you know what, actually, I really don't want to be tricking you guys into doing this without. Hang on a moment. Take it right back out again. I'm just going to put it like this, and I'm going to get some button caps. Hang on, I'll be right with you. thought about stopping the video, and I thought, nope, I don't want to do any kind of editing. This is live without nets video making, so I'm just going over here, and I am grabbing a snap case which has my inventory, part of my inventory in it. Okay. Should have made sure that this was happening first. Okay. So I'm going to, just for the sake of argument here, I'm just going to put orange. I've got lots of orange, that's why. I'm going to put lots and lots of orange caps in here. This is not indicative of the final color scheme. Of course, we know that on a standard Juno, these are going to be blue, not orange. And when I do the variation Jupiter, then half of them are white and half of them are yellow and so on and so forth. Okay, and then let's put a set of 3 whites over here. And again, usually those are 2 oranges and a white. It doesn't matter. I'm just doing this for the sake of making it clear what's going on. Oh yeah, 3 oranges usually go down here. Okay. And let me see. 3 whites up here. Okay. And yeah, just for the sake of argument, I'll throw another block of orange in here. Always taking care not to have any problems with the pins not quite clicking in, which seems to be what's going on over here. So let me just verify this. There we are. Okay, I'm missing a 2 block over here. I'll take, what the hell. I'll take one of my dyed red ones that I use for Jupiters and pop that in there like that. And then I just need 1, 2, 3, 4 singles. So what do I got for singles in this kit? 1, 2, 3. Okay, here are 4 singles. So I'll just drop them in place. And as far as the LED glass is concerned, I'm not going to put that in place because, to be honest with you, I don't have the time to do that as part of this video because that needs to be glued in place. And really all I want to do here is just show you getting the alignment right. And of course with the buttons it's actually important because you'll see when I show you the next part that you do need the keycaps installed in order to get the alignment correct. So, okay. I have now created a crazy color Juno-106 panel. So I'm going to turn around and slide it back in like this. Like so. And I'm bringing it down, swiveling it down, and ensuring that nothing gets caught, just like I showed you earlier. And what's happening? Who's getting caught? Something's getting caught. Oh, that was getting caught. That's not good. So again, when you bring it in, take great care that no other harnesses get in there and get caught. So even for me, this can be a bit of a trial and error, even though I've done it many times. All right. Okay. Good. So now let's do what I was going to attempt to do. Don't bother trying to plug in this harness just yet. Now we're going to swivel this down and take a look here. Well, what we're going to see here is that there's actually a fair amount of slop in the alignment of these buttons and the way the LEDs line up. Let me see if I can get a zoom in on this for you guys. Here, I'm going to move the camera up like this, bring it over like that. This is going to make things 10 times more awkward for me in the assembly side of things, but it will get the point across better for you, and you are what this is all about. Okay, my friends, here we are. All right, so That actually looks pretty good, doesn't it? Not too bad. Oh, now you notice I don't actually have the caps on the switches in place. Well, again, and I don't have the glass. But the important thing here is to note is that there's a bit of tolerance and slop in the way that the buttons go down. If you take a look on this side, they're lined up really, really nicely. But if you take a look over here, and I'll do a zoom in so you can really see that. If we do a zoom in, zooming on in, there's actually a bit of gap on this side, and you can see sort of the drop down in the button. And when I first started doing installation videos, or not installation videos, but just actually installations, I didn't really think too much about this. I thought it would just be automatic, and it's not. You actually have to fine-tune, align it. As you can see, it's not quite lined up. It fits in nicely on this side over here, but it gets increasingly out of alignment on this side, and you can see the gap over here on the bottom is actually larger. So this is our enemy when we are putting in one of these panel boards. So let's swivel this back up and get it back at that angle I was showing you, because it'll become apparent to you now why we do this. Okay, alright, that's stay. Okay, there it is. Let me just reach over, if I can, and get my snap case with the screws. There. Very precarious. Okay, that's closed. There's my snap case. There's the Juno-106. I swear by these snap cases. They're not that expensive. You can get them at your home hardware. And when you're taking things apart, it really keeps everything organized, and you can't go wrong. You could walk away from a project for weeks and months, even years in my case, and come back later and make sense out of what goes where because of the way that you put them in various compartments. So that's really cool. Now, when we originally did this, there was these zip tie holders as well, and I generally don't put those back in. I'm a little bit, I don't know, call me sloppy, I guess, I don't know. I just don't see that it's all that necessary, and I always tend to go in and do more work afterwards. So, and these bundles are already pre-tied, so they're pretty great already. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in the screws, and again, never ever ever use a powered screwdriver, and do not tighten them. Okay, they're just supposed to go in loose. Put them in loose, and I'll show you why in very shortly. Okay, so that's number 2. And here's number 3. It helps if you have a magnetic tip screwdriver. A magnetic tip screwdriver like this Pickwick that I'm using here is really great because it actually holds on to the brass there, and then it doesn't let it drop. And this can be very frustrating, as you probably know, from having done it yourself at various times with different projects where you're using a screw and a screwdriver at a hard to reach place. So I am very thankful that these are all just going in nicely and I can do this, but that's because I've got the right screwdriver. So again, get the right gear, man. It's just like being a musician. Get the right gear. Of course, I know guys with crappy gear who sound way better than me, so what am I going to say? Alright, here we go. But that's music. I think things are a little bit more cut and dried when it comes to doing tech. Good tools are good tools. Alright, and here's the last one, number 7, and he's going over here. Okay, now, putting that aside, and I'm getting my flathead. Time for the special secret trick. Alright, I am going to swivel this back so that it is back like so. We'll take a look here, and we can see that, well, let me take the camera out of the mount. Sorry, here comes the motion, so I want to get you really close. That's looking okay, but then as we get closer to this side, that's actually not too bad. When you are up, you see how that actually is bumping against the bottom over there? Right, you see that? And then over here, I think we'll probably find, yeah, and it's not quite lined up 100%. equally. There's a bigger gap on this side than on this side, and same thing over here. And if we go down here, we'll see there is a bigger gap over here and over here than on this side. So this is all down to the tolerances of the panel board. And if you've installed a SynthGraphics overlay, then your tolerances are even tighter, because the SynthGraphics overlay will be mostly, but not 100%, if you use the technique that I showed in my other video, which you can find, it's the SynthGraphics Secrets video, then you'll have that as lined up as best you can, but there will be little edges where it's poking over. So this is where the pedal meets the metal. You're going to see the buttons lining up inside the holes, and you want to make sure that they don't actually rub against any of the hole edges, because especially if you have the overlay in place, then buttons can get stuck, and if that happens, well, then your buttons get stuck and you can't make music. So never a good thing. So what I know is I need to push this overside a little bit, so I'm going to use the screwdriver that I told you about and my thumb as the lever point, and I'm just going to push it. Now it just went bip, a little bit sideways. And it's doing this while the LEDs are in place. So you got to be careful, don't reef it too hard. And I'm looking at it now, and looking a bit better. Let's try a little bit, let's try again. Okay. All I'm doing is applying a little bit of force to push it sideways using the screwdriver. And okay, that's all right. And now I'm seeing over on this side over here is a little bit too close to us, whereas this side here is balanced nicely. What I actually want to do, as you can see from looking at this is riding a little bit low. I want it a little bit higher, and this is the classic problem, is you just check to make sure that these cables bundles at the bottom are not, there's nothing stuck in there or caught in there forcing it up any higher. And here's what you do. You push this in the slot between, and you can just give it a little, just a very gentle twist, and that will push this down just a little bit. Go over here, do the same thing on the other side. Just a way of shimmying it down a little bit. And when you take a look, you might say, hey, well, that looks pretty great. But now these guys are riding a little bit high for my liking. And as you can see, it's just the way that this all goes, is you'll end up coming up with what is the best solution for you. There, I've just moved that down a little bit and this down a little bit. And when you're happy with your alignment and nothing is budging, that's when you switch back to this guy. And what I do is I will do the one on the outside, on one side, and actually tighten it just a little bit, and go to the outside on the other side. You getting all this? I hope so. And this is where that angle comes in handy. Hang on while I reacquaint it with the angle. I just dropped my flathead screwdriver on the floor, but that's okay. Okay, now that is down. These other ones aren't tight yet. Let's have a look at what we've got. Okay. Yeah, it looks okay. Sometimes you can, push the button cap and make sure that it's the way you like it. I'm looking at this and seeing it's still a little bit off to the side like this, so I'm going to, using my thumb on this side again, I'm going to loosen this just a smidge. A little bit of a push, not a lot. Tighten it again, and then revisit. So you can see, through using the screwdriver to gently, I dropped the snap case, but it was closed, so I win. Nothing on the floor or anything like that. Okay, yeah, and when you are satisfied that nothing is binding, that's when you can say, all right, I'm done, and you tighten up the rest of these guys. If you are in a dry place, I'm going to say this again, if you're in a dry place like Arizona or whatever, make sure that you are grounded and there's no possibility of electrostatic sparks coming off of your screwdriver. When you see the Syntegrator channel, I am really cavalier about using an electrostatic strap. I don't. And the reason for that is because I live right on the water and my place has lots of humidity, and it's really very nice actually. But anyway, that gloating out of the way, I don't really find myself in a hot, dry situation frequently. So electrostatic, while it could happen, so far hasn't, and therefore I'm lazy. Okay, so I'm tightening all these guys up. And you know, on some metal work cases and some panel board combinations, I have found that I really had to use this trick here with the screwdriver up against the slots in here to basically twist it, get it down a little bit, twist it, get it down a little bit, and you know, sort of loosely tighten them, and then get it down, and then tighten it some more, and then reevaluate. It is a bit of a to and fro, a bit of an art job, but as you can see, when you're done, these guys are in, they're lined up. We don't have an overlay to use as a demo to show that you don't have any binding, but look, nothing is binding on this one. And so that's it. That's the front panel in place. Now, what about those plugs? Well, we're very lucky. Roland's plugs remember. They remember. The first one is going to be this guy over here. He's all by himself. He doesn't actually have a bundle to go to, and look, he's already looking in the general direction where he wants to go. So he goes into this plug here. So that's that. All right, now you'll take a look. You'll see we have 3 in a row, and then one little guy off the side, and then one sort of medium-sized guy all by himself. Well, the buddy all by himself goes over here on the bottom. So there's that bottom one right in the middle. That's where he goes. Just like that. Then this small one goes over to the power supply board. Okay? Don't get these two confused. This one is the exact same size, and it wants to go this way. It's partnered with this. Don't put this one over there. And how can you tell it's the wrong one? Well, you can tell also because there is a blue wire in the one that goes to the power board. Okay? So if there isn't a blue wire in the plug you're putting in here, you're making a mistake. All right, so now we've got these three. These three just come in a line. So let me get my hand out of the way and do this with my other hand. These three go in a line. So there's one here, and this is the guy who could have been put into the power board. By the way, if you accidentally do it, you won't blow anything up. Just don't run it for too long. You won't be able to see the display. It'll look a bit goofy, and you'll go, oh no, and you'll turn it off. No harm will be done because this is how well designed Roland made it. I have done that mistake once or twice and did not suffer for it. So either I'm lucky or it's just a great design. So here you have it. That's really all there is to it. Now you can close the lid and button them up. And that concludes the answer to the question, how do you install one of these? I now have shown you all my secrets. So go, my sons and daughters, build synthesizers and impress me. Okay, this is Syntegrator signing off.